Last night, Fred VanVleet dropped a franchise record 54 points for the Toronto Raptors on only 23 shots with a true shooting percentage of 100.1%. But more importantly, the Toronto Raptors get the win over the Orlando Magic. So, as good as Fred VanVleet was, what are some other things that went into this victory for the Raptors? Let's get into it. Welcome to the Raptors Roundup on MHR Sports, the segment where we round up the Raptors game from the night before. So if you like what you see from today's video, you want more of myself talking about the Toronto Raptors in videos just like this, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below. Show your support, join the movement of the channel. We just hit 2,000 and we're on our way to 3,000 subscribers. We also do a lot of live streams on the channel, including last night. Check out all of the great content you missed out on in the watch along. Fred, 3. Let's go! Fred VanVleet raining threes in Orlando. Some great content you missed out on by not being there at the stream. Be there for the next one as the Toronto Raptors take on the Brooklyn Nets. We'll have a lot of fun again. But let's get into the Raptors roundup for today. We're talking about how they took down the Orlando Magic on the back of Fred VanVleet's utterly absurd, historic, and legendary performance. The amount of records this guy was breaking, like the Raptors franchise record for points in a game, surpassing Demar Derozan's 52 points, the highest scoring game by an undrafted player in NBA history with 54 points, surpassing Moses Malone, who had 53 on a night. Unbelievable. And the fact that this was the best true shooting performance in a game where a player puts up over 50 points. Again, 100.1 true shooting percentage. But again, the Raptors got the win, and that is more important to me. Obviously, these records are fantastic, and the fact that Fred was like chasing that Klay Thompson 3-point record is phenomenal. But we're looking at wins as well, so let's get into the synopsis of the game. So no OG Anunoby again, but fortunately Norman Powell is back, who's going to provide some much needed scoring and much needed slashing at the rim. But Orlando come out hot in this game in the first quarter. They go out to an 11-0 lead to start off the game, and I felt like Nick Nurse took quite a while to call his timeout. It took way too long. Eventually the game got to 14-5, and that is when Nick Nurse decided to call his timeout. And I was just screaming on stream, trying like, why wasn't he calling a timeout? But evidently Nick Nurse knew something that I didn't, because the Raptors come out of the timeout and go on a 17-5 run to get right back in this game, and in fact take the lead in this game. And Fred VanVleet, obviously you know the stats, but he got hot early. He got hot early with plenty of points in the first quarter. I didn't think he'd be able to maintain it throughout the game, but my God, did he do that. Siakam was struggling to get some points. Norman Powell was doing quite well, and the Raptors defense continued to struggle a little bit, and we end up going into the end of the first quarter tied at 33. Lots of basketball left to play. In the second quarter, the defense continues to kind of struggle. I think we're lacking a little bit on defense, closing down the perimeter. Evan Fournier had a great first quarter, and it was off the back of some open threes and some sloppy defense to give him some and ones, but the defense could have been better. Also, the effort and as well as boxing out. We know Orlando are one of the best, if not the best, rebounding team. Well, they are statistically the best offensive rebounding team in the NBA, so you simply have to work, you have to box out and help your team get the rebounds. But Orlando got a lot of opportunities based off of that. The Orlando Magic zone defense made it hard for Pascal Siakam to get a lot of points, and they were daring us to shoot, so Pascal Siakam really struggled to get his points on the inside, but daring us to shoot was a bad thing to do on this night, because Fred VanVleet seemingly couldn't miss, and at the end of the second quarter, he had 8 3-pointers made, was chasing Klay Thompson's 14 3-pointer made record in an NBA game, and with 8 at halftime, it seemed like he had the full capability of reaching the record. And slowly Siakam starts building into the game, and Norman Powell, he's starting, so he's obviously going to have a good game here, and the Raptors go into the halftime break up 64-60. So defense is going to help them win games, and at this point, obviously Fred VanVleet's offensive performance is stunning, but can we rely on Fred VanVleet to carry us for the rest of the game? Can we rely on just the outside shooting to carry us for the rest of the game because they're locking down the paint? Usually that would be a no, but in this game, it is far from that. Orlando started the third quarter red hot again, took themselves out to another lead, and they were up by 5 shortly after the third quarter started, and it's a tight game. It's a tight game, but I know that defense can really take it over for the Toronto Raptors, and finally, finally, after that early run by the Magic in the third quarter, the Raptors defense starts to take over, and our offense continues to roll. Fred VanVleet continues to knock down threes, and at the end of the third quarter was 11 for 12 from 3. That is utterly absurd, the shooting performance that Fred VanVleet had here. He was chasing Klay Thompson, 14 three-pointers made in a single NBA game, and the Raptors franchise record for three-pointers made in a game, which is 12. Eventually didn't get there, but was really chasing it. Aside from Fred, Yuta Watanabe and DeAndre Bembry also had great games here. Were very active all over the floor. We're good on defense. We're putting up some points on the other end. And Aaron Baines, another very solid performance, locking down the paint, doing a decent job on Nikola Vucevic, held his assignments to 4 for 16 from the field in this one. Great stuff from Aaron Baines. And Fred VanVleet at the end of the third had 46 points. And despite all these insane amount of points Fred VanVleet is putting up, also playing like he deserves to be on the all-defense first team, just showing fantastic defense despite being only a 6-foot guard, putting up all these points and still playing stellar defense, getting a ton of steals, a ton of blocks on the other end of the court. Raptors up big after the third. Now we move into the fourth quarter where, obviously we're concerned about winning this game, but I am really zoned in on all of these records Fred VanVleet can hit at 46 points, at 11 three-pointers made, and Fred VanVleet doesn't really come out of the gate because Nick Nurse keeps him on the bench for about 5 minutes of this fourth quarter. But then Fred finally comes in, and because of some really, really bad Orlando Magic defense, Fred VanVleet gets enough points at the rim to amass 54 points. In the end, they were doing a little bit to defend him on the perimeter, so Fred VanVleet couldn't get those three-point records, but my goodness, 54 points, Raptors franchise record, the most points ever in a game by an undrafted player. Fred VanVleet, this is a legendary once-in-a-lifetime performance, it seems, and I think we're so blessed to have been able to see this performance in our lifetime. In the process of Fred VanVleet dropping all those points, Kyle Lowry quietly gets a triple-double in this one. Fred VanVleet really outshined everyone in this one, but a triple-double for Kyle Lowry, fantastic for him as well. Had 10 assists in this one, and on Sunday night also had 15 assists. His playmaking has definitely been there over the last few games. His shooting has kind of regressed a little bit recently, but he'll find it back again. The Raptors rolled to the end of the game. The defense was great in the second half, and the Raptors once again win big against the Orlando Magic, but this game will forever be remembered for Fred VanVleet's legendary performance. Now let's move into the 3 takeaways of the game. The first key takeaway is obviously Fred VanVleet's utterly stunning shooting performances. I've gave you all the statistics, but as well as having those insane offensive statistics, 3 steals and 3 blocks for Fred VanVleet, who is definitely making a case for himself to be on an all-defense team at the end of the season. The fact that he can kind of supplement that all-defense potential while also putting up 54 points, I think is one of the most insane things. And the fact, 54 points on 23 shots, that is utterly ridiculous. Second key takeaway is Kyle Lowry's playmaking and controlling of the offense. Even though his shooting hasn't been fantastic lately, his playmaking is there. Like I said, 10 assists in this one and 15 assists on Sunday night. Kyle Lowry's playmaking is definitely making it a lot easier for guys to get looks at the rim, like DeAndre Bembry, who likes to run the floor. Kyle Lowry finds him for an alley-oop, an easy 2 for DeAndre Bembry. Some good stuff happens because Kyle Lowry's insane play, insane running of the offense. I think he's got a definite all-star case this season. The third key takeaway is that we're playing the Brooklyn Nets in our next game, which is going to be a very big test for this Toronto Raptors team. Obviously, we know about the Brooklyn Nets. They got KD, Kyrie, and James Harden, but their defense is lacking. So can Toronto produce a performance here on the back of the momentum of back-to-back wins? Can they produce a performance to take down this Brooklyn Nets? We are very excited to test this Raptors team and see how they fare in this one. So there you have it. That was the Raptors roundup. Fred VanVleet with a stunning performance. Let me know all of your thoughts and opinions on this game, as well as, do you think Fred VanVleet should be an all-star, and do you think he should be on an all-defense team at the end of the year? Let me know everything in the comments down below. But that wraps it up for me for today. Thank you so much for watching. If you are still here, please like the video if you like, and subscribe to MHR Sports for more content just like this. Like I said, we got tons of Raptors videos and tons of Raptors live streams, so if you like the content, be sure to please subscribe. And if you like, hit that join button and become a member of the channel. We did our first giveaway yesterday. We did a gift card to Amazon. Congratulations to Samuel Pritchard for winning that. Future giveaways, if you want to be involved, you got to hit that join button down below. At the end of the day, I believe what I say. If you disagree, that is okay. We'll see you again next time for another video.